You are extremely accessible to people. Is it true?
I believe so.
Because people can actually call you on your mobile number.
Since I have become MLA, I used to have one mobile number, which I used to carry with me.
Okay.
Subsequently, I became power minister.
Okay.
And as a power minister, I thought it was my duty to be accessible to everybody whose lights go off at any time. And that is why people used to even give me a call at midnight and tell me that the lights have gone, somebody has his children answering exams tomorrow. And I used to try my level best to see that the power was restored as early as possible.
That is a bad example for a politician, don't you think so?
Of course, it gave me lots of what we call sometimes sleepless nights, because during monsoon we used to have lots of problem. And
Okay.
since my number was well known to everybody, people used to call me. But
At the same time, it made you popular also.
But I thought even today, as a chief minister, I have the same mobile number.
Okay.
And I feel that in today's situation, there is no harm in chief minister being accessible to common man.
Okay, it is not that you sit in an
No,
ivory
I
tower.
will give a small example. Some years back, after I became the chief minister, one bus coming from Maharashtra to Goa got some problem in the ghats
Okay.
near Kolhapur, and they were not able to get anybody from Kadamba Transport Corporation.
Okay.
So somebody had my number, so one of the passengers. There are lots of ladies, children. He says, let us try chief minister's number.
Okay.
He gave me a call at about 11 o'clock in the night.
Okay.
Said, please help us, we are in a real trouble, children are there, ladies are there. Now I immediately gave call to chief secretary. I told him to speak to the divisional officer in Belgaum and try to send a Karnataka state transport bus to that place,
Okay.
and saw to it that they could reach their homes in Goa early morning by 5 o'clock.
Even I've been watching that, you receive so many calls and you have some solution for everybody. Don't you think it becomes extremely stressful for somebody who is actually the CM of a state?
Of course, many people ask me, how do you manage it? But somehow or other, I have been doing this job for the last so many years, and I do not want to create an impression that after I have become CM, I have tried to move away from the
But
common
the
man.
most important thing is to be the CM for 3 years and complete 3 years successfully in a state like Goa itself is an achievement, isn't it?
Because
everybody thought
because
it
of
was
the situation.
impossible to remain in power in Goa for more than about 6 months to 1 year. That was the kind of a situation there was. But is this kind of an attitude that you have that enabled?
There are lots of factors.
Okay.
Because when I became the chief minister of Goa, I knew that I was heading a coalition government. And the coalition consisted of NCP, MGP, independents. But the Congress president, Srimati Sonia Gandhi, when she decided to hand over the chief minister to me, she must have had some expectations from me.
Okay. That you're friendly with everybody.
And I decided that my ultimate this is to take everybody with me and move forward.
And you actually started befriending these smaller parties.
Yeah, my role has been to go for a consensus on various issues.
And keep them happy
Keep
also.
them happy, or try to understand their problems and try to solve their problems.
And that
also.
has been one of your problems, isn't it?
Naturally,
Because,
when you
sometimes
when you try to when you become accessible, there are lots of disadvantages. Many people phone me simply saying that my lights are not working on the streets.
Okay.
In front of my house, last 8 days lights did not come up. This type of complaints also people.
But even with these smaller parties, what's happening is that because of your own needs to keep yourself in power or your party in power, that you had to make some compromises, and that resulted in some kind of uncomfortable situations also.
Coalition government, I would say, is a story. If you want really to run the coalition, you have to make some compromises. There's no doubt about it, because probably even if I have something in mind which I want to implement, my party has something in mind which we want to implement, sometimes it becomes difficult to implement because of various other factors. But the success of the coalition is you are able to take along all the partners of the alliance. Then there should not be any problem. What I have been doing is, as far as possible, I have been trying to take along all the people who are associated with us in the coalition.
Okay, Goa is associated with anything that is pleasuresome or enjoyment and all that. That's the kind of idea people had. But after a few incidents recently, do you think that image has taken a beating? Because, you know, people come to Goa not to do business or whatever, just to have a nice time. But after particularly Scarlet killings there.
I personally do not think. See, our population is around 14 lakhs. We get around 25 lakhs tourists visiting the state, out of which 4 lakh tourists are coming from abroad. The rest all are domestic tourists. Now, if you notice that some stray incidents here and there take place, in a tourism related activity, I always believe that wherever tourism has flourished in any country to that extent, tourism brings sometimes good things and also some bad things.
Okay.
Now we have to see that maximum good things come with tourism and minimum bad things come with the tourism.
But these kind of bad things have been coming regularly for a very long time, and that is something that should have been stopped a long time ago, right?
Now, our efforts...
For instance, the drug mafia, to foreigners buying land, to doing a lot of other things which were like, you know, I mean, tolerated to a very
Our
great
efforts
extent.
has been that maximum good things should come.
Okay.
And minimum bad things should come. we are moving in that direction. Sometimes some stray incidents take place. I think they are aberrations on our entire happenings, because.
But you think that nothing really has gone bad to such an extent?
Persons who have gone to Goa or even today go to Goa, after going there, then they ask us, what is there? There is nothing.
But you have made some changes too, right? You've made the policing a little more strict. You have actually tried to bring in a little bit of code of conduct.
We have brought in lots of changes. In fact, I tell you, when I became the Chief Minister, I remember still many college students used to come from many parts of this country. They used to jump into the water on the beaches. Many drowning cases were taking place.
Okay.
Today we introduced that beach safety management scheme with the help of one PPP, under PPP mode with Drishti, a company called Drishti, and you have all the towers now erected on the beaches. You have gypsy cars moving around the beaches. You have got flags identifying where to go for swimming, where not to go for swimming. We have lifeguards patrolling. And the number of deaths occurring because of drowning has practically becoming now zero.
Okay.
So this has given a confidence to the tourists that this government cares for tourists.
You are basically a businessman. You come from that background. Do you actually run the state like a CEO? Because you know you have this reputation of having made the electricity board itself profitable after becoming the power minister. So are you actually looking at Goa as a big, what do you say, business opportunity for the government, in the sense, you know, you can really make it profitable, you can really make it a very flourishing place?
There are two factors to your question. One is there are some departments in the government which has to run in a business-like fashion.
Okay.
So you talked about power department. Now I always believe that tomorrow some private player comes and says that I'm willing to supply power at this rate, people will naturally go to him to buy that power. So it is the responsibility of the government to give a cheap power, quality power, and what you call, I would say, a power which can be relied upon by the people. So in such department, you have to perform just like a businessman, because there your success or the failure depends on your performance. Whereas there are some sectors in the government, so some department, which are directly connected with the heart of a common man, which touch the heart of the common man. There you cannot be a CEO.
Where actually you tell about yourself saying that you're committed to working for the poor.
Now, I'll give you an example. Now, for example, we launched some schemes. We tried to touch the heart of a small people who sell their flowers outside their temples, outside the churches, who sell coconuts, who sell fish. This type of small vendors, we tried to touch their hearts by giving them a subsidy of 5,000 rupees.
Okay.
We tried to touch the hearts of a small gada owner. You have small gadas which sell cigarettes, which sell soft drinks. So we tried to give them a subsidy of 10,000 rupees.
So everybody benefits in some way or the other.
No, first time we tried
to... they become partners in the whole progress of the state.
They should feel, basic thing is that small man, ultimately government's aim is to first help a common man who requires an help from the government. See, big man can get his things done from by hook or crook. He does not even require government's help to that extent. But it is a small man who doesn't have political godfather, who requires continuous support from the government.
But that is the kind of development that you brought to Margoa, right? That is your constituency. But do you think this kind of development has been uniform all over the state?
No, as far as...
because that's what people say,
as
that
far
people
as
have been able to see the development in Margoa.
Margao has been the commercial capital of Goa, right from beginning.
Okay.
And unfortunately, during the last so many years, I have been working hard to see that Margao retains that status of commercial capital or the status of the city of culture. Maybe we have that these there. So that is why I have given thirst in creating like Ravindra Bhavan project, like district headquarters, which Margao deserved, because as a commercial capital, they definitely deserved the better facilities from the government side.
Okay, but because of Goa being a confluence of cultures, do you think there's actually a problem in handling different sentiments there? For instance, with the Konkani language itself, whether it had to have the Roman script or the Devanagari script, and people came to you about it, and you know, so I mean, is it actually some kind of a balancing act, not just with the politicians, but also with the people itself?
No, people's aspiration is growing.
Okay.
Day by day. And Goans, as you know, Goans, we are high rate of literacy. People are good. They naturally expect lots of things from the government. And that is why sometimes it so happens that the aspirations are so much, and you meet some aspirations.
The government very much also.
They are always ready for anything which government takes a wrong decision anytime.
Okay.
They always try to bring it to the notice of the government.
Okay. And very sensitive people.
I have many times said that in democracy, we must consider the views of the people.
Okay.
And based on that, I have sometimes even modified my decisions. If I was convinced that yes, this decision which we have taken is not in the interest of the people.
That, you know, whether you find a solution or not is a different matter, but at least you listen to them. That's one thing that people have been able to see in you.
In democracy, you have to listen to the people. Okay. You may not be able to implement what they are saying, but if you are convinced that what they are saying is right, that your decision which you have taken is not in the interest of the people, I think then I have a right to even modify my decision.
You are such a people's man, but still, why did you say that, you know, women, it was better for them to not get into politics?
No, I never said this. I clarified it. In fact, I have
not aspire so much.
This was totally was said in a totally different connection. Okay. It has nothing to do with reservation. I said that women will get reservation. We have given reservation for panchayats, for municipalities. One day they will get reservation in assemblies. Nobody can stop their reservation. But I said they should give more thrust on improving the economic condition of
first, they need to do that.
That is what I advise, because I said
but
my
you don't
government.
Have many women politicians in your assembly, right?
My government has brought in so many schemes for women self-help groups. In fact, we give them 25,000 for any registered self-help group to start their business. We give them 25,000. If they have 50,000, we give them 50,000 seed capital. Okay. We have different courses for them, only for women self-help groups. So we want that women should try to stand on their own. Because if the woman economic standard improves, it is a family which benefits.
But what kind of relationship are you seeing with Karnataka, your neighbor state?
We have good relationship with all the states.
But there was some small misunderstanding also between, because you have a lot of people coming from Karnataka who work there also, right?
Yeah, right.
And also you have people from Goa coming into Karnataka. But are you actually taking into consideration these issues, that there are no conflicts of interest?
I don't think. Karnataka people have been coming since last so many years from Karnataka to Goa. That we have, in fact, earlier when Goa got liberated, our entire, whether electricity department or education department, we had many people from Karnataka which came there initially, because we didn't have Goans to work in such departments. And even today, they have, for all practical purposes, they have become. Okay. Their children are also working in the electricity department.
We also have an overseer from Karnataka, Mr. Hari Prasad.
Hari Prasad ji has been
in charge of your
General Secretary in charge of Goa. Yes. And under his guidance, we have been able to get lots of support from the center. He has been also pursuing our many projects with which we expect some support from the center.
Okay.
And for the first time in the history of Goa, Finance Minister declared a golden jubilee package for us worth 200 crores in the last budget.
Because you're a small state, do you also have these problems like you don't have the necessary muscle power to demand things with the center?
And that's true, because our MPs are, we are hardly 2 MPs in Lok Sabha, 1 MP in Rajya Sabha. But I must say that during my last 3 years tenure as the Chief Minister, Center fully supported us. Dr. Manmohan Singh ji, Pranab Mukherjee ji, Jairam Ramesh ji, or Congress President Srimati Sonia Gandhi ji, they supported us like anything. In fact, we could get lots of important projects cleared from the center.
You are seen as a very successful politician. Why? Basically because, you know, everybody thought Goan politics was very different from whatever you saw elsewhere in the country. But is it as difficult as it's made out to be? I mean, what are the compulsions and interests that actually work?
That is because
you have
Goa is a small state. Number of constituencies are 40. Each constituency has hardly 25,000-30,000 voters. That must have been the problem. And that is the reason why we feel that Goa is unstable.
Okay, but it's always been like, you know, I mean, you'll have these kind of political instabilities from time to time. What actually causes this kind of an instability?
No, this is the reason. Ultimately, being a small state, you have lots of advantages, but you have lots of disadvantages.
What are the disadvantages?
Disadvantages are it is extremely difficult to administer. Now, in a big state, district magistrate is practically the whole and soul of the district.
Okay.
Now, in Goa, the district magistrate doesn't yield much powers, because here even the peon working in the district magistrate can walk into the chief minister's house or can walk into the minister's house. So, for him, it will be difficult for even transferring a peon or the clerk from 3rd floor to 1st floor.
Okay.
This type of situation exists in the smaller states, which may not happen in bigger states.
People have been talking about the advantages of running a smaller state and actually having smaller states, and you're running a smaller state like that. Do you actually say that, you know, it's better to have a bigger state than...
No.
Because, you know, the imagination is that, you know, when you have a smaller state, things actually happen better and the departments function better and the CM can actually oversee almost practically everything.
No, having a smaller state is definitely, I would say, is a better thing.
You have your own problems, don't you?
The problems will be there, but even then, in spite of that problem, you can still try to reach to the people, which does not happen in a bigger state. It is very difficult to reach to the people. Now, I'll give a small example how it helps being a small state. Now, we had, during the last monsoon, we had a flooding of Kankona Taluka. Unexpected thing happened. It is very close to Karwar Taluka. Now, I could reach there within 3-4 hours. With the moment I came to know, I rushed my collectors, police, everybody, and I was in the other side of North Goa, but I reached there by 4 o'clock, 4:30, I was at the site to supervise. Next 3-4 days, I saw to it that I every day visited that taluka.
You could mobilize the whole state
personally, supervise the things. That had an impact. People also came out in large numbers to help, as a chief minister is coming every day and monitoring the things, gave them a confidence. And people, everybody participated in relief work. That was something, which we were surprised. Everybody participated. People from Kankona also participated.
And you are a very active person. That's also to do with your own background as a sports person. You play badminton, you were a swimmer.
I have been associated with sports from childhood.
And now you are the president of the
Swimming Federation of India.
India.
They elected me for the 2nd term.
Okay, and in your tenure, the swimmers have been able to do
during my tenure
much better than what they used to
as
do
the
before.
president, last 4 years, we have been able to achieve much more. We got lots of medals, whether it is Asian Championship, whether it is South Asia Championship. Our coach, Mr. Pradeep Kumar, was asked to organize the clinic. And that's the thing. And this year, Commonwealth Games,
and you're expecting
we are expecting some medals. Some swimmers are training themselves in foreign countries.
Okay.
Center has also supported us. They are also providing us some assistance. And I'm confident that we will be able to get some medals these Commonwealth Games.
Okay, what about badminton? That's been one interest of yours.
Badminton, in fact, I was associated with badminton. I was a good badminton player. In fact, I was the secretary of Goa Badminton Association when we hosted the first nationals in Goa, in which Prakash came to limelight in Goa in 1976. And since then I have been associated with, even though I have become the president of Swimming Federation of India, my love for badminton or my association with Badminton Association even continues.
Okay, but you also are into educational activities, aren't you?
I was associated with some educational institutes in my Margao.
But Goa is also famous for educational institutions.
Goa is
not
famous
just because of the literacy.
No,
but
Goa
also
is famous for educational institutions. In fact, Prime Minister during his last visit, he says Goa is a small place, beautiful place. So he says, I understand that Goa has got its own limitations vis-a-vis the industrialization. But there is one sector where Goa can really come up, and that is, he says, education.
Okay.
So
after tourism, it should be education.
You also said that Goa should give more thrust on education, and we have got good educational institutes.
Okay.
We have now BITS Pilani located in Goa. We have Institute of Management, JIM, Goa Institute of Management, which is rated as one of the first 20 institutes in the country. We have been recently allotted an NIT, which we are putting up in association with the NIT of Surathkal. Okay. We have also been sanctioned one catering institute by Kumari Shailaja, Minister for Tourism. Okay. So that will also come up in Goa. So our effort is also now going in that direction.
But don't you think that Goa has been stagnant for a very long time, and people come there for the beaches and for the feni and for the dances and everything, but apart from that you've not been able to even modernize tourism. You had so much opposition when it came to the casinos and things like that. So if you really have to attract the foreign tourists, because your whole economy is as of now based on tourism, at least the majority of it. So what do you actually plan to do? Is it also like, you have some opposition from the conservatives, at the same time you have these compulsions to keep the economy afloat?
People in Goa have one worry. They want development, but at the same time they feel that Goan identity should not be lost. This is the question which is always before us. For example, you say there is a opposition for casino, because people by and large feel that Goa should be promoted as a family destination.
But that will not happen at all.
No, this is the perception by and large which Goans carry. So that is the reason that they feel that casinos will bring again lots of other things. And that is why they said, why not develop Goa as a family destination? Secondly, when we think of developing Goa or encouraging tourism, one worry which always we face is that slowly a situation should not come where Goan identity gets lost.
Is it already unmanageable?
No, I don't think.
No, because the government itself is seen as very tolerant in Goa. Don't you think so?
No, we have to strike a balance.
The police also.
We have to strike a balance. We can't go against the wishes of the people. At the same time, we know that we require development. So our effort is to strike a balance.
How important is tourism for you?
I
mean, is there any possibility that you can transform the needs of the economy in some other direction?
No, Goa today is considered one of the top international tourist destination. Nobody can deny this. You go to any part of the...
Even your government recognizes
We also recognize it. You go any part of the world.
Okay, so you can't take it lightly.
Whenever somebody asks you, you are from where? I tell them, you are from India. Which part of India? And then you say, you are from Goa. The reaction is, oh, you are from Goa. Okay. This reaction
Goa
itself...
is the most recognizable.
This reaction from the common man itself gives importance to Goa.
But is Goa becoming more and more conservative?
I don't think so. It's not conservative. But that worry or that feeling inside every Goan is that at any cost, our identity should be retained.
Okay, but the Goan culture, or what you're talking about, is actually being forgotten these days, because you have your own dances, songs, to the language, to the literature, everything. But don't you think in the process that the whole thing about the Konkan is lost in this din of tourism?
I will not say so.
Because you actually, as the art and culture minister, tried a lot of things.
No, we are trying. Even now, Goa is the only state where we have finalized our cultural policy. We have our cultural policy, which we are implementing. We are trying to encourage our upcoming artists. We want our own artists to come up by staying back in Goa. They do not have to go to Bangalore, they don't have to go to Bombay, they don't have to go to Delhi to come up. Like earlier days, our artists used to move outside and then they used to come in the limelight. Today, surprisingly and fortunately, lots of younger generation has come into limelight. Whether
Even
it is
about Konkani language, I mean, though there are so many people who speak Konkani all over the country, but you know, people identified Goa as the place where they could officially speak Konkani. But even about that, because you don't have a script to, once again, the same thing about, you know, the dispute about development of literature also. You have this about, you know, the westernized Goans to Indianizing Goans.
I think this issue was decided when they decided to make Konkani official language. At that time, they decided to have a Devanagari script. But even today, government gives lots of encouragement to Roman script. There is no bar for helping people or literature coming out in the Roman script. In fact, we have started recently a theatre academy.
Okay.
Theatre is one of the art where lots of Goans used to perform right from
So that's what I've been actually speaking about. You've been doing this balancing act in every front as possible, and I think you're the most suitable person to do that because you really are nice to almost everybody. So to run a state like Goa,
I try to find out a solution.
Otherwise, you know, there'll be instability.
I try to listen to them and try to find out a solution. That has been my
and everybody
approach.
feels like they've been listened to, they've been, you know, given some hope of redress.
That has been, I think that should be, the government has to be sensitive to the problems faced by people. I believe that my government should be sensitive, and that has been my role. Whenever something happens, somebody comes and tells me something.
During the recent, what do you say, mishaps at least, were not appreciated very well by the Goans themselves. They thought you were, you know, being a little callous in your statements because they thought maybe you should accept some of the problems in Goa. You need to, you know, find solutions for them. You need to, you know, talk about the police inefficiency and all that.
The perception.
And that is when, you know, I think even personally people thought, oh, okay, Mr. Kamath is a very nice man, but look, you know, he failed us to an extent. I'm sure the things are better now.
Because I listen to the people. They call me listening chief minister.
Okay.
Now, in democracy, I think, as I said,
but you should be doing also.
Listening. I must listen. But at the same time, sometimes I said, they say that I'm a non-performing chief minister because sometimes I have made my decision modify based on the people's recommendation or by listening to the people. As I said, if I realize that my decision which is taken is not in the interest of the state, not in the interest of the people, then I said I must have a right to slightly modify my decision. That also I have done sometimes.
So many voices coming from all directions in different languages also.
You will not be able to satisfy each and everybody. Yes. But by keeping larger interest in front, I think we have been guided by that, and there we have taken some good decisions. Some of the decisions are very well appreciated. We have tried to, as I said, we have tried to reach to the common man. Recently, we started launched a scheme by which anybody staying in Goan who stays in Bangalore, stays in Pune, stays in Delhi, stays in America also can get his property documents online.
Okay.
This is one step where we want to move e-governance to reach the common man.
Okay, but there are immense possibilities in a small state too. You can do things that bigger states cannot even dream of.
And that we have done. We have done lots of
the things that you can experiment,
innovate, we have been implementing various schemes which other states may not be able to implement. For example, we have a Mediclaim scheme where you get 1.5 lakh for heart patient, nearly 5 lakh we give for cancer patient, 8 lakhs we give for bone marrow transplant. That is something for every kidney patient who suffers from dialysis. We reimburse him to the tune of 15,000 rupees per month.
Okay. Have you trained and strengthened your police force?
We are now moving for modernization of police force.
I say that after Scarlet Killing's death, the government of Goa learnt a lot of lessons.
Now, police force is being modernized. In fact, first time Union Home Minister Chidambaram sanctioned us 5 crores of rupees to put up a modern control room in the city of Panaji. which will have full-fledged control over the entire state, and 50 PCR vans, thereby trying to keep presence of police in all the parts of the state.
Okay.
And we are moving in that direction.
You're a very interesting person, Mr. Kamath. You come from a business background, you're a science graduate, you're a sports person, politician. What a combination. Does it really help in politics?
It helps. As a sportsman, I was an NCC cadet, for example, I'll tell you. Now, as an NCC cadet, I learned lots of things in NCC, which helps me in politics. As a sportsman, lots of things. You know to accept the defeat sportingly. You know, these are some of the things you in sports. We stayed together, we lived together, we played together. We had the victories and we had the defeats.
Okay.
So you know to celebrate the victory, you know to absorb the defeat also in the same spirit. I think these are some of the things which you learn from NCC, sports and all, where it can guide you in politics.
And at least the people of Goa have shown that
And
they need
you don't carry ill will towards anybody.
person like you as the CM.
And don't carry ill will to anybody.
Okay.
That has been my ultimate motto.
And I must wish you all the best in your future endeavors, as well as and all that you plan to do for Goa, and also for the good relationship between Karnataka and Goa.
Definitely. We always prefer to have a good relationship with Karnataka because Karnataka is our neighboring state.
Thank you, Mr. Kamath, for having come to the show.
Thank you. So nice of you.